Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good indeed. Thank you very much. How is it in Ireland today? Is it cold?
It's always cold,
It's
but
always cold.
I suppose it's less cold today than it was, say, this day last week.
Yeah.
So, we're improving bit by bit. We're getting to a warmer season, I can tell.
Did you get the storm that Cornwall and England got?
I don't think so, no. It wasn't that bad of a weekend. There's a few showers, but, I mean, it's just Ireland. That's what we have.
Yeah. Well, last night, me and the boy George, we were watching the Spanish Super Cup, and I was surprised because they were talking about stopping for water breaks. I'm thinking, and at first, when I first turned it on about 20 minutes into the match, I'm thinking, and they were talking about how hot it is. I'm thinking, it's not that warm in Spain. What's all this about? And it wasn't in Spain, of course. It was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Barcelona, of course, getting the win. Why is it in Jeddah then? Why in Saudi Arabia?
I suppose that is the main question, because I don't think a lot of people know that, but they've actually had a contract to play there since 2019. They had a 3-year contract, and then they extended it again. I think now it's 2029 with talks of another 5-year contract beyond that. So this was in 2019, I guess, really before the big Saudi Arabia boom.
Yeah.
But it was something the Spanish FA, they received an undisclosed payment for it from the Saudi government. The only exception was in 2021, it was played in Spain. And, it's great. We had a great El Clasico versus Barcelona and Real Madrid. And, of course, 2 good matches before that with Barcelona sort of unapologetically smashing Athletic Club 5-0. And then Real Madrid had an exciting match against Atletico Madrid. But the main question is, why is it being held in Saudi Arabia? Because, that's a big talking point for fans. Is it a game? Is it a competition for fans or broadcasters? Because, this was even something that Aniki Williams brought up, which was, when we play there, it feels like we're the away team.
Yeah.
So players are admitting they're feeling away. Fans are admitting, you're not going to have 20,000 fans traveling to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia just after Christmas. Let's forget about the fact that money isn't an issue. Everyone's getting back into life as it is. You're just not going to have a lot of people traveling to a country that is expensive and impractical, to put it in the nicest of ways. In a BBC report, actually, one Real Madrid fan described it as a scam, saying Champions League trips are cheaper and more meaningful. So it's just a lot of fan discontent. Players are not happy because they don't really feel comfortable playing in there. But that's where it's been held now for 6 years. It's kind of hard to believe, but the big question is, is it a competition for fans or broadcasters? And that's probably highlighted more now with the FA Cup this weekend, because everyone's talking about the importance of these traditional cup competitions.
Absolutely. And looking at the match last night, though, it was a massive stadium they were playing in, massive, and it did seem to have lots of fans, because, obviously Barcelona and Real Madrid do have fans all around the world, and maybe, I was looking at, most of those wouldn't have been Spanish that I was looking at last night. They were Middle Eastern looking. So that's, I can understand why they're doing it, but, but what about...
Spanish Federation have always been sort of forward on these kind of things. Even this season there are talks of Barcelona playing in America. So I think this is a thing we're going to see more of, and is traditional matches that would have been held in the countries of the leagues that they're based in are now being held abroad, because it's not about the fans or the players. We can't keep pretending it is. It's about the revenue margins and just keeping them higher. Keep having breaking financial seasons. Yeah,
okay, let's talk FA Cup then. The kind of romance of the FA Cup was seen, of course, with Macclesfield beating Crystal Palace. And did you watch that match? I watched it, and I thought it was just amazing to watch fans, kind of grassroots level, watching a team that wasn't even there a couple of years ago beat Crystal Palace, the holders.
Yeah, I actually have a very interesting fact as well to sort of show how football, but especially English football, is kind of full circle. Is in the last team to knock out a non-league team to knock out the FA Cup winners was actually Crystal Palace in 1909.
Oh wow!
So it's full circle. That's the thing about the FA Cup, and I think it's been especially talked about in media this week. Is just how historic it is. And if you want to show someone, why the FA Cup matters, why it's still important to fans, to players, to anyone watching, this was the week to show them, because we had so many great matches, so many upsets, but also just so many displays of good football. The first one to probably talk about was, before we get into it, Wrexham's match as well. That was
against Forest.
Was a thrilling match against Forest. That always gets a bit of attention. But then another one that went to a penalty shootout was Newcastle and Bournemouth. I thought that was one of the games of the round. You had 6 goals in regular time, end-to-end stuff, really, and then you had a penalty shootout that just barely went Newcastle's way. So it was a nervy match, but it's classic FA Cup drama.
Yeah, and I saw a Portsmouth fan saying before the match, we want our team to be more like Macclesfield and less like Exeter City, because Exeter City didn't fare well against Manchester City.
That was tough. That was a tough night. That's what you get playing against one of the best teams in the world. They weren't going to give up. It's definitely a statement match, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was just absolute demolition, really.
Yeah.
They were just ruthless from the first whistle. It was a heavy rotated Man City, but it still goals came from everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I heard a commentator put it up, it was men against boys.
Yeah.
And then talking about Portsmouth as well, I think everyone was thinking there's going to be a bit of a change there. I think they went up in the 3rd minute. But Arsenal were meant to work early, but they did go to work, and they pulled clear in the second half. It was just a very strong attacking display, and it's happy for them, because that's the kind of match they want to see more of, more 4 or 5 goal matches, because that's a very capable team. They know they're capable of that, and a team that sort of surprised me of showing how capable they were is Burnley.
Yeah, of
course they're playing Millwall. I think a lot of Millwall fans would have thought there's a chance for an upset here. Burnley have been, they've been playing in a tough situation this year, but they were clinical and aggressive. And I think they had 4 second-half goals against Millwall, so it was just, Millwall competed early, but I don't think they could cope with Burnley once they found their rhythm.
Yeah.
So it was a sharp, confident display.
I heard somebody say that when and they were talking about the run up to Macclesfield against Crystal Palace, and somebody, I thought, rightly said that you don't play Crystal Palace at their own game. You don't play the way Palace or a Premier League club wants to play. You ruffle their feathers. You get in their face. You show them what non-league football is all about. And I think that had an effect on Palace. And I suppose that's kind of how you got to approach these games. That it's 11v11, and if you can ruffle them up a little bit and get in their face and shake them a little bit, then that's the way to do it. But quite a few matches going the way we expect them to go. What about, I missed Spurs Villa? Did you mention that?
No, not yet. And it's probably, I wouldn't want to put it down as a shock, because Villa are playing extraordinarily well this season, and Spurs are still going through that change that is Thomas Frank, and that's a whole segment in itself, this week's drama with the Arsenal Cup and all that. But Villa, they were outfought, and they outfought and outthought Spurs. That's just how it was. Tottenham were, I think, the more dominant side in possession, but listen, if you don't know what to do with the ball, it doesn't really matter how much of it you have. So Villa were just ruthless when they got on the break. And the pressure is continuing to build in Spurs, because I do hope they stick with Thomas Frank. I think if he's given the time and resources, he can build something special. We're not obviously going to ignore how well built Brentford is, and how good they are as a board and a team at managing resources and bringing in the right players to support the right manager. But I think Thomas Frank himself is also a very good manager that requires time. Sometimes you don't get that in big clubs, but it's important he does. Talking about time, a team that got a manager in record time, Chelsea. There was Liam Rosmuir's first day out at Charlton, and really it was a really professional display. It was a dominant performance. Obviously, it's not the biggest test in the world for a new manager, but they got one really fast.
You still got to go and win it, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, they got a real. It feels like he's been there for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Honestly, the way they played that match, because it wasn't just like, oh, this team's better than the other team. They looked genuinely set up. Liam was going around hugging players afterwards. You know, he seems to have already blended in quite well there, and that might be because the culture of the two clubs is quite similar. They're owned by the same ownership at Strasbourg and Chelsea. Yeah. So it seems like he's fitted in right away.
Just for me as well, it seems when I saw him at Derby when he was very strategic, always writing stuff down, always planning, very tactical. He was the interim manager for a while. We should have kept him. But also very friendly as well, you know, taking selfies with fans and the kids and stuff. And, so I'm wishing him all the very best at Chelsea. Let's talk about Manchester United's problems go deeper than their manager, don't they? That's for sure.
Well, I guess let's talk about something positive before we get into all the negative, which is the fact that it's widely reported now that Michael Carrick will be taking the interim job over Darren Fletcher, and Darren Fletcher, I believe, will still be in the coaching staff, but Carrick will take over the position. It's yet to be confirmed by the club, but those are the reports coming out from credible sources like Fabrizio. So it's widely believed now that Carrick's going to be taking over until the end of the season. I guess a lot of fans might have been swinging for Ole, but I think the Man United board...
I don't understand that. I really don't understand that, because it was those probably same fans that were calling for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to go.
Exactly, yeah. I think nostalgia plays a big part, and a report that I read that I really believe in, which is I'm not all for the narrative that the reason Man United are in this position they're in now is because Alex Ferguson is still sitting up in the stands, quietly controlling everything. I don't believe in that, but I do believe in the fact that if you hold on to something for too long, it's not a good thing at all. And I think Man United need to take a page out of Liverpool's book when they brought in Klopp, of forget about the idea of Man United's DNA and just get the best person for the job, get someone from a league where they're proving themselves. This whole idea that they have to be Premier League proven, that they have to have, the DNA of Man United. They have to play like the
just
the
need
old...
a good manager who knows how to do it.
Precisely,
Klopp, bring him in. And I think that they've tried all that. They've tried the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approach, and he did it. I mean, look, he's finished second, but it wasn't to be. And I just think they need to go for somebody who's proven track record now. And who knows what they're doing, and give them some money to spend. But because Man United still must be making money,
Oh yeah, definitely. And to talk about the match itself, United were down to 10 men after Lacey got sent off, and it was a damaging night for Man United, who were playing a full team against Brighton, and they looked all out of sorts. And I have two facts. It doesn't bring me any pleasure to say these facts, but it was the first time since 1981 that they were knocked out of all cup competitions in the first round. And they'll only play 40 games this year, which and this is a really fun one for anyone who doesn't like Man United, which is the first time they'll play that number of games, that low number of games, since 1915, which the reason for that was the First World War.
So no excuses about tiredness, please.
No excuses about that. No excuses about overplaying, because for the first time since 1915, we're going to be playing 40 games in a season. But I think the red card did swing the game considerably, but Brighton still deserved that win.
Yeah,
they played really admirably, and you got to love it. And then the last game we have to talk about is, of course, your team. Wasn't the greatest result for Derby County. Leeds were strong in the end. They showed intensity and good work, but Derby stayed competitive. Yeah,
listen to the Derby fans. A lot of the Derby fans that were at the match saying that they were quite impressed with the way Derby went about their business. It wasn't a complete and utter. I think a lot of people were saying 2-1 would have been a fairer result, but. Yeah, but all in all, it was just a step too far for Derby. And you see the difference between the Premier League team and the Championship team. Just on the one-touch football, that sort of thing, that kind of quality comes through that you only really get in the Premier League. And so Leeds United doing really well this year, I think just look like they're going to stay up, maybe mid-table, along with Sunderland, and that causes all problems. But I was talking to somebody who's a Portsmouth fan over the weekend, and they were saying that this is the year to get out of the Championship, because next year you're going to have maybe like West Ham United in there, and it's going to be tough. Maybe so, and Wolves
possibly, and but Leeds are kind of, I'd consider them a side built for knockout football. So I think Derby should be very happy. You know, Leeds are aggressive, they're fast, they're fearless on the ball. Sometimes that doesn't pay off too well in the Premier League, but it often does in the knockout competitions. But the next season that's the season. If you're not in the Championship so far, you're not looking at, you don't know much about it, I think next season will be the season to do it, because there'll be a lot of contenders for promotion.
Right, so Derby Rams didn't do so well. What about the LA Rams? We've got maybe 2 minutes on the NFL, Mark, if you can do that.
Yeah, the Rams had a tough match as one of the games of the season, of the postseason so far. It was kind of back and forth all night, but the Rams offense, as they often do, delivered when it mattered most. Carolina were fearless. I mean, for a team that has struggled so much in the last 5 years, they definitely have to be impressed with what they've did this season and what it means for the upcoming seasons. It was big game experience. That's what showed. Then the Bears versus the Packers. That's a tough match for me to talk about, obviously, because I'm a Packers fan. But I'll be told, I mean, the Bears team absolutely deserved it, what Ben Johnson has done. I mean, I remember at the start of the season when they got washed over by the Lions to where they are now. They're an aggressive team. They play every single blade of that grass. It was a statement win, and Chicago just controlled, long stretches in the match. But Green Bay seriously need to consider Matt LaFleur, I feel. I mean, the play calling in some of the matches, and especially the last 4 matches and in close matches this season, has just been sort of atrocious, and all the money that has been spent on record-breaking contracts just to end up in the same position for the last 10 years. It's tough. Then we got the Jaguars versus the Bills. The Bills were previously 0-4 on the road, but Josh Allen pulled it up. It's a tough loss for Liam Cohen's Jaguars. He's done a lot of good work this season, but it just wasn't meant to be. The Eagles lost out to the 49ers, which is once again just showing how strong the NFC West is. You have the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks, who are on a bye. Then the Patriots versus the Chargers. I mean, it was tough for the Chargers, but I don't think anyone can really expect anything else. I mean, the Patriots have just been really strong. And then the last one, of course, is the Steelers versus Texans coming up. It's going to be exciting. Texans are a very young team. They're a very strong team versus then Rodgers and the Steelers. One last dance. Rodgers has 14 playoff wins. So it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup.
It certainly is. Mark, thank you as always. And we'll look forward to the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that. And Mark, as always, thank you very much. We'll chat again next week.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.